Good morning and welcome to Paul T's World. And in this video we're going to have a look around my English garden in autumn. We'll be having a look at what's in flower, what I've been doing to prepare the garden for winter, and the results of some of the cuttings I took in the summer. Some of the autumn colour that we've got in the front garden is the Cherokee, showing its nice red leaves. Next to the Lamarckii, this is the deciduous azalea, which actually has some nice autumn colours. Now next to the azalea I have a row of peonies, and so the way I prepare the peonies for the winter is I cut them all back. So there we are, I've cut them all back to just 2 or 3 inches from the ground. I've got a little row of them there, and then I spread bone meal round them. And I did that a couple of days ago, and that will see them now right through to this time next year. And as you can see here, I use these for the peonies. It works quite well. They're quite simple supports. I've got an affiliate link in the description below for those supports. They work pretty well for the peonies, and I leave those supports in year round. I've been moving some plants around. Autumn is a fabulous time for moving plants, and here is a cistus behind me. Now this cistus was in the lawn bed, and it was too big for the lawn bed because I want to grow other things in there this coming year, so I've moved it and put it in here. There was the Weigela wine and roses, which actually died, and also a potentilla, which I'm not quite so keen on, so I've made a large gap there. I've cut back the viburnum. It's a viburnum tinus, and it will flower through the winter there, just starting. So I've cut that right back here to leave room for the cistus and something else to go here, and I'm not sure what. Just next to the mophead hydrangea. And I'll just show you the other plant I've moved, because I do move plants a lot if they're not in the right place. And this is a Loropetalum. It's a new shrub to me, this, and I bought it last year. It flowers red early in the spring and is evergreen, but it just wasn't getting the light it needed in the shed bed, so I've moved it to here, alongside the Pittosporum. There's some leaves on here. And while I was moving these plants, the robin came down. I did do a lot of digging and preparing the soil. I put leaf mould in and some of my own compost from the compost bins. The robin came down and spent a lot of time inspecting everything I was doing when I was planting these 2 shrubs a couple of days ago. It was delightful. So let's move over and have a look at the hydrangea bed that I planted up in the spring. And as you can see, the potentilla has gone. And that large hosta. So the hosta I split, and in fact I put part of it there. I always used to split and replant hostas in the spring, and I always had a little bit of problem of knowing exactly which hosta they were, because many of mine I haven't got names to. And I've discovered that in fact splitting hostas and replanting them in autumn is, I think, a far better idea, because you can actually see the leaves, you remember exactly the type of hosta they are, what the colours are, and where you want to put them. And autumn is a great time for replanting just about anything. So I've moved some of these hostas round. I took the potentilla out from here, and I planted 2 azaleas. There we are. And in fact, there was a dead azalea here, wasn't there? So I've bought this variegated one, pretty little variegated one. Oh, we've still got some snapdragons flowering, some red ones, and indeed the yellow ones. And I think they've seeded from over here. And these seeded from somewhere else, probably over here. I'm really pleased with this bed, the hydrangea bed. The ones that turn red are looking pretty. So yes, all in all, that is going to look really good in the spring when all the azaleas are in flower and then the hydrangeas taking over towards the summer. I've also changed the bed next to the garage, taken the potentilla out of there as well, so let's go and have a look. This bed has been redone. We've still got the lace cap hydrangea, shocking pink, and the large weigela, variegated weigela. But I've also planted 3 more hydrangeas. This one here, this is the Zorro lace cap. It has an aspect where it tends to grow up, and so it will fill this gap nicely but not overfill it, and it will rise up high towards the top of the garage. We can see the buds here forming already, so that will be producing flowers next year. And the other 2 plants that I've put in to replace the potentilla are these 2. These were both cuttings last year. This was from my sister's garden, and it's quite a pretty lace cap, macrophylla, big leaf, lace cap hydrangea. And in fact, it's got 2 different colours here. This one is also a lace cap as well, also a cutting. So those were 2 cuttings that I did just over a year ago. So I'm left with a space here that I want to fill. And I think I know exactly the plant that's going to fill that space. So let's go over to the upper part of the front garden and have a look. Some of the penstemons still flowering. Oh dear, the Brugmansia has blown over in the wind last night, so I shall have to prop that up again. And the plant that I'm going to transfer to that space next to the cistus is this one. There are actually 2 fuchsias here, so I'm going to dig one up. Or in fact, what I might do is I've just noticed down here, it's a self-seeded fuchsia. So I think I might plant that and dig one of these up, because there are 2 there. The calendula is still in flower. These dahlias, just about still producing new flowers. The osteospermum. Now I think this osteospermum may be hardy. It looks like the hardy one. And I bought this for £1 on Facebook Marketplace in the spring as a little seedling. Got the berries on the Cotoneaster. And the birds will be eating those over this winter. That laurel that I cloud pruned. We've got this dwarf rhododendron, and here we are. The buds there are ready for next year, so those will be out in the spring, probably May next year. The azaleas looking healthy and thick, ready to flower in the spring. These are more cuttings that I did of hydrangeas just over a year ago, and I've planted them in this bed behind the azaleas. So it makes for an ericaceous bed that wants acidic soil, acidic compost and rainwater. There's a mophead hydrangea. That's the one I split, and I actually did a cutting of a mophead hydrangea, and here it is. So I did that last summer. And also this one, this lace cap. I planted them a couple of months ago, they've responded, they've grown up, and they've started to flower straight away. Again, we can see here a rhododendron that's got all its buds here ready for next year. Oh, and look at this. So this is a cutting that I took from across the road. One of the neighbours had a lovely lace cap, and just look at the leaves, they've gone red. Again, that's a cutting from about 13 months ago, late last summer. The blueberry bush, nice tinges of red. See, it is autumn, but as you can see, many of the leaves on the trees haven't turned yet. Some have. The mountain ash, the rowan has. The liquid dambar over in the distance there, that's gone red. The white dahlias and the red dahlias, oh, and these are still doing well. As well, of course, and as you'd expect, the Bishop of Llandaff there, over in the distance in the tropical border, still flowering beautifully, along with all the other tropicals. But what hasn't flowered, and I think it's just about to, are the chrysanthemums. I just couldn't get them to flower this year. Now they are a little bit in the shade there because all my sunny areas on the patio are really windy and they kept blowing over. And they were gorgeous last year, but they just won't flower. Here's a pretty sedum. So I noticed that one of my friends had this lovely sedum on their patio, and so I took a leaf, just one leaf, and then popped it in some compost. And here we have, well, 2 leaves I took actually. And here we have 2 new plants a few years later. The acre hasn't turned red yet. Now this goes a gorgeous red. So we are going to have to wait till probably November. That is the height of our autumn, the first week in November usually. But this one went a glorious red last year. Some of the hostas are still their normal colours, while others have got their autumn colours. In fact, I always love these 2 hostas here. Going a little bit over there, but I love the colour it goes. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? So I've got 2 of these, had them a number of years here. And what I do is every now and again, I just put a spade in the middle there and take out the back half and plant it somewhere else. And so I don't affect very much the display the following year here. Oh, it's so quiet today here. There's not a breath of air. There's not a breath of wind. Yesterday it was a little bit wet. The day before it was absolutely glorious sunshine. I've taken some cuttings of the Irisine. I'm still deadheading the Bishop of Llandaff and the Moonfire. The Musa Baju banana plant has just pushed up a new leaf, but in the wind yesterday it's just shredded it a little bit. And the oak leaf hydrangea putting on lots of new leaves, and so we're going to still have to wait to see what colour it goes in autumn. Here are the seed pods of the Honesty, so there'll be lots of new Honesty plants in the spring. Here are the seedlings growing nicely of the forget-me-nots. Got to watch forget-me-nots because they do spread. However, they're so pretty in the spring. I moved some of the Brunnera and it must have self-seeded or spread how they spread. There's two there, Jack Frost or Sea Breeze, or is it Sea Heart? So those are extra plants I've got. Some of the penstemon still flowering here and here. Salvia amistad. Got some flowers. I trimmed back the Griselinia, the hedge at the back there, to make sure that it stays nice and thick for when it grows. So I'll let it grow up another foot or two and take it back another 6 inches next year. Mexican fleabane. It's flowered right the way through the summer. Laburnum. I've got these two laburnum here. They self-seeded in my sister's garden a few years ago. So I planted them here and they're glorious now. They give a really good display, and you see the seed pods here. See the seed pods here. So they drop the seeds and I get more seedlings. Here we are. Here are the laburnum seedlings, and one of them I dug up and I put here. So here it is. I've just tied it to a stake to keep it going upwards, and up it goes, and it is going to go right over my archway here. So I'm going to have my own laburnum arch. They grow really well, really quickly. So as we turn round here to the lawn bed, this needs redoing to a certain extent. I've got the euphorbia there that will send up some lovely flowers in the spring. There's some dogwood here with nice red stems. It's a young plant. I'm hoping to get that nice and bushy in the future. Some verbena still in flower. And here is where I now have a gap. The cistus just wasn't right here. It was taking over this whole area. And I want it more for herbaceous plants such as the echinacea and the rudbeckia. So I took it out and put it in the front garden, as you saw. And also the lauropetalum was here. So now we've got this large space that I would like to fill with echinacea. Some of the seed heads still here. It gives room for this pinky winky hydrangea to bush out a little bit. I know that this Weigela is going to do well this year. It's got the red flowers. Now the Lychnis. Let's see what we've got here. So I've been deadheading this right the way through the season, And here we have the new ones, there we are, and in there for next year. And as you saw, oh, and there's another one there. So then I will cut all these off, leave this, and I'll have another display next year. This is a phlomis, Turkish sage. Neighbour gave me this. It has just grown its leaves this year, so I'm hoping next year it will flower. And what have I got here? This looks like something. Yeah, it's not an ash, is it? Either way, oh no, it's too well rooted to pull out, so I'll have to dig that out. And one of the stars of the show, of the plug plants, is the Doronicum. I love these. And it's still got its last flower. Here we are, we're in late October and it's still got 2 flowers. It was covered in yellow flowers in the spring and, well, into summer. The grapevine grows. Every year I cut this grapevine right back to here every year. And then it grows forward 10, 11, 12 feet across the patio, giving a little bit of shade in the summer. I hope you've enjoyed my little tour around the front and the back garden in autumn, late October, in my English garden. And I hope to see you next time in Paul T's World. Bye.